It's gonna get serious. What are we doing? You know it. Oh, you know that's right. Oh, you know that's right. You know how big this is. And then all of a sudden, consent of the governed. Here we go. Another episode. It's time. Once again, Tommy P. Hey, this is Sully.
Oh, and this is Tommy.
Yes, and this is Consent to the Governed. We just did this one together. I think the last two have been done separately.
Impressive.
Yeah, we didn't even try. Like we didn't even test that. Jeez Louise! I just pointed at him. He knew what was happening.
Yeah, I just want to say this is just a bit of an emergency impromptu. Everything's an emergency in this day and age, but definitely an impromptu. Just kind of let's predict what's going to happen, and tomorrow. But more so than that, where people are at. I say people. I say the population, America Pop. And what we can expect. And Sully, I would like you to actually kind of just.
Well, in my opinion, obviously this whole episode's going to be speculation. Here's the deal. This is being recorded on the 5th of January. We should have said that at the beginning.
Kind of just.
Well, in my opinion, obviously this whole episode's going to be speculation. Enough of you know what's going on. A lot of people, more people than I've ever seen, are actually staying abreast of the situation, other than those who actually believe that Biden is going to be president, of course.
And Antifa doesn't exist.
Right. So my opinion on this whole thing is, and what I think this podcast should be about is settling people down on both sides, actually. And one of the reasons is because I don't think that anything specific or like tomorrow is not going to be the deadline. Tomorrow's not going to be the day where all of a sudden everything breaks off and you have this civil war and Trump just comes out and says, yo, I'm the president, deal with it. It's not going to happen that way. Pence isn't going to come out and say, yo, Trump and I are, the rulers of America. You're going to have to deal with it. I do believe, and Trump actually said Pence said in Georgia last night that he is going to allow the people who want to contest it. And all that means is that anybody who has a legitimate gripe basically within the Senate is going to be given 2 hours to debate it within the Senate. And then they're going to come to Pence and say, hey, this is what we got. What do you want? It's a way to put all of the evidence out there and have the person who is constitutionally responsible for selecting whether or not the electors are chosen to be valid or not gets the opinion. Think about it like a court case. Pence is the judge.
And I think
Pence is the judge. And at this point right now, we're looking at the defendants being the Democrats and the Republicans being the plaintiffs. And they're just going to go and they're going to state their case and say, okay, Arizona, okay, we're done here. But any senator within any of the states can contest any other state at this point. So if you have 15 senators, you're going to have 30 hours of debate. So we should all be prepared for the long haul. And I think that's where this is going. It's going to go for the long haul. And I've even heard a little bit of discussion regarding it being constitutional to move out from the 20th. And constitutional scholars will say that Pelosi doesn't get it. It actually goes to Pompeo. Well, there's some weird stuff going on.
And also, the certification can go all the way to March too, with other constitutional bylaws and situations that were tried to be held up.
Right. So, but none of this is unprecedented.
Well, that's honestly it, and I mean, we have to look at it too. The Democrats in the last 20 years, the 3 Republican presidents that were that won were all contested. Everyone was
single one.
contesting.
Yep.
And it was quashed that quickly. Like it was like, nah, and boom, he's president. So this is a very odd situation. I mean, we all know where we'd like it to go, and we all want to, trust the plan if you're, following 17 and whatnot. But uh, at this point, is it going to fall on deaf ears tomorrow? Is it going to? Are we going to see some? The evidence is there. This is the problem. Is the evidence is there, and it just is falling on deaf ears every single time. And we can see the level of corruption, running deep in our court systems, and also, some of it was falling on deaf ears, and some of the lawsuits and everything else that was coming out, they were, I wouldn't say frivolous, but they were also, the people that were filing these lawsuits were basically getting ready for what they needed to present and how they needed to present it on this particular day.
And to who needed it? Yes.
What they needed to hear, who needed to hear it.
Right.
I think
I don't trust
something
the
that's
personally.
I don't either. And this is something we talked about yesterday. Something that's really throwing me off right now is the attitude of not the attitude, but the behavior of Lynn Wood. Part of the legal team.
Yeah, I listened to an interview with him, and I can't even remember who. They have millions of listeners, and every time he's on, they get millions more. Really good podcast. But he said a lot of very interesting things, and I think this was recorded a couple days ago.
Yeah, was that Fireside deal that he did?
Yeah, yep. And I mean, the guy makes a lot of sense, right? We know what he's done. We know what he has been doing. We know who
he's got a history of successful, successful court cases, and he's got quite the reputation on the line for, being an attorney that specializes in defamation of character, and for him to come out and
he's an attorney that specializes in truth.
Yes.
That's the brass tacks of it. If you're going to deal in defamation, you're dealing in truth. You have to find the truth. There's no other way around it. It's such a really weird situation to be in court and have to is this hearsay or is this truth? Is this a frivolous lawsuit? Did what he say actually apply, or was this flagrant? And there's a huge gray area there. And for somebody like him, he has to go in there with every word specifically dissected to a point where everything makes the most sense. And he's done it for years and has been ridiculously successful with it. And now he's saying the stuff he's saying.
Yeah, and anybody looking at that stuff, just look at his Twitter feed or whatever his handle is. Look him up. Everybody's internet people.
Parler, whatever.
And the stuff that he's coming out and talking about, which, by the way, too, see, this is once again, it's like the Edward Snowden with the missing nose pad. It's Twitter is not suppressing this information at all. It's not sensitive content. See, and this is because I bring up the Snowden missing nose pad. That story. Like my wife's an optician, and she saw Snowden on TV for the first time, and she looked at it going, "Why in the hell does a contractor that works for the government, a private contractor, making a 6-figure salary, missing a nose pad on his glasses?" I mean, that doesn't make a lick of sense. Like,
unless he's too busy, right? So you have this 97% to 3% thing.
I know he's not that kind of guy. You're gonna go on TV. You're gonna miss a nose. It's just it's one of those small details that make you go, "What if?" And so this is the thing, with all of the suppression and all of the censorship that we've seen, with the social media giants, every time Trump or any Fox person or anything like that posts something on Facebook, it's immediate, this has been disputed, or somebody throws out sensitive content here or there, it's always immediately squashed within the hour. I can see usually it's typically anywhere between 13 to 20 minutes when they actually throw the labels out there, or label the content sensitive. So for this to be out there and the kind of stuff he's throwing out there, I mean, with the pedophilia, with calling out John Roberts, you're not just calling out, some Joe Schmo in the street or some, wannabe senator or,
Right.
representative. You are straight up calling out a chief justice in a Supreme Court and slandering his name all over Twitter. And you specialize in going after people that slander other people. I mean, so this is the thing. So it's one of two things are happening. I mean, it's real or it's optics.
I think it's both. In my opinion, it's both, and I'll tell you why. My honest opinion, Twitter doesn't have the balls to put something like that on a defamation attorney, especially one that just won multiple lawsuits against CNN with Sandman and everything else as far as that case is concerned. They know that this guy will destroy us. If it's not this year, it'll be next year, and it doesn't matter who's in. We're boned.
And that's one thing that I'm seeing, just to quickly interject, is that it seems like this is what the left side does, as opposed to attack an individual or a message coming from an individual that is disagreeable with one of their own. They completely ignore it and they do not respond to it.
Now, that's only when something is true. It's one of the things that I've been telling a lot of people is, if the old adage back in the day when we had kings and queens was, if you want to know who runs everything, understand who you can't talk shit about. And that's obviously a paraphrase because nobody said that back in old.
Yeah. Thou talk shitteth and nobody responds.
Thine shite.
Thou'st know who the devil is.
By the shiteth that can be. But for a little jest. So I think there's a different way of saying it these days, right? The way you say it these days is, if you want to know the truth, go see who's being silenced.
Yeah.
Now this is one thing where I think you're questioning it. Why isn't this guy being silenced? Why is this guy the anomaly? Is this something that is he running a ploy? Is there some sort of thing surrounding this guy where he might be some sort of black hat and white hat clothing, right? And in my opinion, the stuff that he has said, no. He can't be, because if you don't destroy, I think it was said in the Bible, there's never been a God that destroys, there's never been a demon that destroys demons and proclaims to be God, right? So if you're going to be Jesus and you fight the other side and you continue to do that stuff, you don't gain a whole lot. Now that can be argued too.
And I'm not saying whether or not he's a black hat or a white hat. I'm looking at more of, okay, well, I guess what's the end game here? What's the so by doing this, if you were out there to trick the people, then why do it? Why put it out there?
Well, so I would say,
are you there to trick the other side to make people think you're crazy? But if you said shit like this, and you know how it is, man. Once it's out there on the internet, it's out there. So he damn well knows that his career, his life, his is all on the line by making these accusations.
Well, so here's the deal. I try to do this a lot with everybody I talk to, Rice and everybody else. I try and just war game the scenario, right? So if this, then this, just use logic statements all the way throughout and say, okay, let's just say somebody like this guy is working with Trump. Let's just say he's working with Trump. Would you want him on the team? Would you want him, kind of with the team? Or would you want him acting in a way where he's a lone wolf? And in my opinion, the mounting evidence that this guy is going to start bringing forward would say that it's crazy as shit. So you don't want that attached to a president. You know, the people will not take it. So what you do is you take a guy like that and say, hey, go lone wolf, I got your back. And that's if he's with him, right? Still don't know that. That remains to be seen. In my opinion, somebody like Lynn Wood, we discussed it last night. I honestly believe that this guy got all of his information through outside sources, and he's claiming, you know, things like Isaac Cappy and stuff like that have a dead man switch for Isaac Cappy actually, you know, gave him a lot of the information.
And then he's got the decryption keys and whatnot too, and they're distributed.
Finalize all of the rest of it, yes. And that's what he's claiming, and that remains to be seen. I don't know, but I would say this: that if I was running the world, as far as like, you know, president of America, because that's pretty much what they do. You've seen it. If I was doing that one job, where would I put Lynn Wood? I'd put him exactly where he is. I can say that everything he said is fucking crazy, but there are no absolute attachments or contracts to him. So there's a plausible deniability route. Some people say, well, why didn't, you know, Trump's attorney let him in, like Patrick Byrne? Why didn't they let him into the meeting? Well, how do you know they? How do you know? How do you know they didn't?
Oh, that's and this is the one thing about Patrick Byrne that always
exists.
Now that's a different conversation altogether. But like,
right?
How did he get into that situation?
Because Overstock.com started dealing in Bitcoin.
No. You know, I like, but like, really, how did he get in that situation?
No, but to be honest, that's how. I mean, the guy was an outsider immediately and wanted nothing to do with the Federal Reserve. In my opinion, things I've looked at, the guy was immediately an outsider. He had a lot of tiffs with people because he was, from what I could tell, he's a pretty smart cat. Am I saying he's a white hat? No. The dude could be a gray hat. The dude could be a black hat. I have no clue. I am not involved in any of these conversations. So I'm not willing to make an assessment on the guy. But I can say that the first internet company to start taking Bitcoin was probably not looked very well, especially when he did it right after, you know, the Silk Road. You're pushing up against what I would consider the problem in the world is the foundation and creation of money and the control thereof. So this is a guy that's like, oh no, I'm going to take this other one, you know? So whether or not, you know, let's not argue where Bitcoin came from and all that shit, but we can argue that this guy is a question mark. Lynn Wood is a question mark. Sidney Powell is a question mark.
Hell, Mike Pence is a fucking question mark.
Mike Pence is a question mark. These, like, everybody around Trump is a question mark. And in my opinion, yes, for all of those listening, Trump himself is a fucking question mark. Because I know what I'm getting out of Biden. I know what I'm getting out of Biden. I have no damn clue what I'm getting out of Trump. And I think I've said it on every single freaking podcast so far, in all of our conversations. Same thing I said in 2016. You know, I know what I'm getting out of Hillary. You know, I better get bread and ammo, you know, because that's the way it's going.
And that's that's one thing we always talked about.
Yeah.
You have no idea. And the one thing that we always talked about, you know, it's like, yeah, you never really seen a dictator, you know, just basically deem, you know, gun stores, you know, essential businesses and see people arm up. But at the same time, you know, when it really comes down to brass tacks, man, I mean,
I've never seen any other guy, the same guy. I've never seen him create Space Force.
No, but with what the military has, though, with what the military has and your pea shooters, whatever high-powered rifle you think you have, we really don't stand a chance. So, I mean, you could always look at it from that point of view, but to tell you the truth, I really don't know what to expect. And, you know, I do see a lot of this stuff coming out, like with the Lynn Wood stuff, as misinformation, or as disinformation, as possible. intentional disinformation to throw off the enemy, not necessarily throw off us. Everything's throwing us off. Nobody's talking the truth at all. I mean, at least you don't know who's really talking the truth. There's things that we've been paying attention to and looking at for the last 20 years that we are, I believe 100% that this is the truth. But the problem is
chemtrails are nanobots.
Yeah, this is what we're looking at here, man, is the fact that we've seen this before too. We've seen this before as a disinformation campaign against the other side, against the opposition, not necessarily the American people. Right. We're just caught in the crossfire going like, well, is this true or is this not? I've seen videos and pictures and all. I've seen all the evidence. I've already made my decision. So are they doing this to throw off the opposition, which they've done so many times in the past?
Right. And the best way to think about it, in my opinion, if I was running the world, make them fight a war on two fronts. You always make them fight a war on two fronts. You flank them, and that's just the art of war. And in my opinion, you completely insulate the guy that's at the top. If I was president and I'm the guy at the top, I'm going to insulate myself from Lin Wood. But I still need that information out there, and I know he has it. So I will use various back channels to discuss things with him and say, yo, it's time to put it out. Whether it's, a picture on Instagram or whatever, he knows what to look for. And bang, as soon as he sees it, he says, all right, I slowly release the plan, and I was actually very shocked to see something, and I can't remember what network it was on, but it was one of the big five, where they were discussing, the last drills that the Marines were having in Japan, where they were doing no-comm drills. And I was like, oof, that's something else, because we're looking at something where, communications are key in times like these, right? In any war, communications are key, especially with us now. It's an information warfare game, and going through all of this stuff and thinking about it, I'm thinking that if it was me and I was running this op, and the only reason why I know, half of the stuff I know is just by going over this stuff for a very long period of time with you and everybody else, understanding, number two, understanding Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution, philosophy. It's the same idea behind 9/11, hit the tower with a couple of freaking planes and then go to war with a country that had nothing to do with it. That's a very good thing to use. It's been done since, from what I know, historically Rome. They're going to attack us and steal all of our bread and games. And then I guess the third thing would be the newest thing in this information warfare game, and that is optics and hackers, right? So the optics of all of the information coming out, when it comes out, how it comes out, and who puts it out. And then the hackers that are like monitoring all of that stuff. So one of the things I was really interested in talking about were the tapes that Trump put out talking to Brian Kemp, and wondering why the first thing I see is that, Trump was blackmailing Brian Kemp of Georgia to get his 11,000 votes. And all of a sudden I look at it and I go, shit, I'm pretty well abreast. And I thought it was a hell of a lot more than 11,000 votes. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting there thinking about it going, I better read that transcript. And I read the transcript like freaking immediately, went through the whole transcript. And then I listened to the actual call just to hear inflection in voices, if there's pauses, if there's, what's going on with this. And then all of a sudden there's a redactions. And the redactions are names of the people who are doing it. And I'm sitting there going, who the fuck would leak a redacted copy of anything? Nobody but the president. Legit doing everything by the book. In my opinion, that tape, Ukraine tape, his perfect phone call, and it's the best. It's the best. It was phone call ever.
It was perfectly.
And trust me,
phone call.
This episode may sound like we're trying to just swing off the nuts of the president. Both Trump and I don't give a shit. which one of these buttholes are involved. I mean, well, I guess we kind of do. At this point, I find myself rooting for the guy who's the underdog. All of a sudden, when the fuck did Trump become the underdog?
No shit. No
what
shit.
the fuck? He was the president, and all of a sudden he's the underdog.
This is the one thing that we've always talked about too, and I don't know Trump. I don't know the guy, but I
don't give a shit. I've been to his hotels.
We always said, man, if the rest of the politicians, right or left, hate the person that's trying to become the president or hate the president himself, that's the guy you want to vote for.
That's the dude.
It was like Ron Paul. Mm-hmm. Ron Paul, they didn't, trash his reputation because A, they couldn't, but B, they didn't have to. They knew that all they had to do was just keep him off the TV.
Well,
and he would just, we wouldn't gain any momentum.
Well, but that was at a time. That was at a time before we could have our own podcast at home.
That's true.
When Ron Paul was running, we used to have a full-blown studio just to get some videotape on the internet, and then you'd have to spend days rendering
camera and shit.
Yeah. Remember, when we started the band, we were talking about high definition being a thing, and we were all like, "Who needs that?" Now I go back and look at all that stuff, and I'm like, "Wow, this is some grainy ass bullshit. Yeah. This is some garbage ass TV." No, but that's. I would say this. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say.
Thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm the worst.
No, Vince is the worst. No, at this point, man, I'm just curious that if Trump really knew that he wasn't going to get back in, he would have enacted. What is that? 1830.
18848.
18848
and 18818.
And so I mean, we wouldn't even have to be in this position, but there's obviously was a reason that it had to be drugged this far.
So
but the problem is you see that constant suppression on mainstream media and all the big tech companies that aren't letting this information out there. So, do they have they been, well, I know they've been constantly doing and running the logistics of what people are looking at. And, I mean, really just basically hands down, they know how many people are literally on their side at this point. So did we jump over, that threshold that where there's enough Americans that are awake, not wokenism, but awake, looking at the situation, looking at the facts, doing their own research, that they know that for a fact that they can go this route and no matter what will be in a good position?
So, a lot of people want to talk about some weird stuff. You have people, and I don't know if it's planned disinformation or anything else, where it's like, holy shit, Project Looking Glass, and they can see into the future and all that jazz. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if Project Looking Glass was nothing more than, AI in the form, or machine learning in
or
the
form, a webbot, man.
Well, no, in the form of being able to say, okay, if this person in this spot, and just mass calculations in supercomputers, being able to say, if this one person in this really blue state is there, he's been there and he's been saying this on all of these media sites, that, we give him a 1 out of a scale of 5.
But that's,
and being able to,
but it works. Just, I'm sorry to interrupt. It works the same line of webbots, where you have like with the whole Cliff High reports.
Right.
If this and this, I mean, it's kind of like logic gates. If this and this or this happens, this is the percentage of the outcome that we could actually see.
Right.
Now, imagine honing in on it.
Scraping that data and having, and in 2016, you saw, I'm sure, I can't remember what the documentary was called, and that dumb bitch, I know she's part of the CIA. She's been monkeying around in the fucking crypto space now, and whatever your name is, that's for you.
Is that the one chick that...
If she got a text message from Brennan, she could fuck herself. And I don't care if she wants to come on the show. I will tell her she could fuck herself. She's probably smart as shit. She's probably way smarter than I am. Fuck her.
Is that the one that just feeding you misinformation and just kind of...
well, she's part of Cambridge Analytica, and then she started
Oh.
getting into like some freaking crypto stuff this year and being on some virtual crypto. I don't even remember your name, but I know your face, and fuck you. Um, but
Fuck
and
you.
fuck you. You get a text message from Brennan saying "good job" at a Senate hearing. I don't want to hear shit from you because you are tied into all of it, and especially if you have a Netflix documentary. Eh, Obviously, I don't know how many billions they gave to fricking Obama. That guy's a piece of shit. Um, anyway, um, I digress. So, Jordan, please feel free to bleep all of this stuff out.
So
But
back
no,
on.
I think my honest opinion is I think that if Trump was to do the things he was going to do, he would have known them a long time ago. I thought Trump would win handily. The majority of the country did. I think the majority of him voted because they wanted a winner. I think they believed that he had won in the face of all opposition for 4 years. I think that I can go back to 2015, 2016, and actually pull up all of the Democrats that were singing his praises as compared to Ben Carson and Ted Cruz. And all of a sudden you would see that, like, holy crap, go back and listen to most rap music out of New York, off of the East Coast, even, all the way down to Ludacris talking about hanging with Trump. And they loved the guy until all of a sudden he was against their plan. And he did things that were against the plan. And he was doing things at a certain time where we probably needed the most disruption as it pertains to you and I, as far as our beliefs in America, right? We needed the most disruption now. It didn't matter where it came from, didn't matter what the goal was. We just knew that after, the recent Patriot Act, NDAA, all of the stuff that was signed, that we were going down a bad path. And
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. Like I
yeah.
personally have felt helpless. It was just like, what's the fucking point of the American dream?
You turn into a fucking prepper? Like, that's your option? Like, no, I've never been a turtle in my life. I have never fucking once gotten my shell and said no. Hell no. I'm going to punch you in the mouth.
But my biggest problem was it just, there wasn't, you saw that plan that they were, following through with, and you knew that there was no hope for the American people in that, in that plan, in that system. There's no, the only place that we lived in that plan was to pay taxes and to be
in the
subservient.
Or in the woods,
and
waiting to get a knock on the door
outside of the system.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's the reason that we never. That's I was thinking about that too. I think that's part of the reason why I do the independent work stuff too, is because I like to be able to stay on my toes and not have to rely on a particular. Because imagine people that are just, this is the way you do things. Here's this, and this is how you go through things.
Well,
and that
besides that, we have
but the bottom's taken on underneath them, and they're screwed. But they don't know what to do.
We both have a hard time with authority too.
Yeah.
So I don't like a boss. So I'd rather be my own boss, be called a subcontractor, and then me and the boss can shake hands at the end of the day or end of the week.
Yeah, and be like, hey man, this is your business, not mine. I'm subbing.
Yeah, should we have a beer? Or what do you want me to do? Yeah. But it's the way that gives me the most responsibility. And that's what most people are afraid of, to be honest with you. I mean, even in this stuff right now, I'm noticing that people will not take responsibility for themselves and their actions. And then, and I got to say, this was probably in 2016, I saw, the most amount of just, oh my God, what am I going to do with myself because Trump won? And then on the other side, yes, we're going to get everything we want. And then I saw the country completely do a fork and split off. And it wasn't until recently, it wasn't until 2020 that I actually saw people ask questions about why. And this gives me the most hope, because we started this off with the idea of civil war and stuff. And that probably is the most prominent question I get. I mean, even Chris, Rice is just constantly bombarding me. If he does that, it's war. If he does that, it's war. How do you get out of that? And it's a great question. But I think that you're going to see, you know, if Trump's a bad dude, I can tell you right now, this is my prediction. If Trump is a bad dude, it's Project Bluebeam. That's how he gets people united. If Trump is a bad guy, because Project Bluebeam is not a cool thing. It's not there, but it is a CIA project, and he just made the CIA go defunct as of January 1st. So, again, I know what Biden would have done. I have no idea. Trump is a fucking wild card.
Well, see, and herein lies the problem. See, this is what I'm seeing is popping up more and more and more. It's not Republican anymore. It's not, people have given up on their party.
I'm so glad. I am so glad.
Me too, man. And so you have now you have the movement. Now you have the MAGA movement, the Patriot movement. These people believe in the Constitution and the Constitution in their country. Mm-hmm. If Trump, which once again 50-50 tomorrow, which could be extended, go to January 20th and then into March. Let's hope. I don't know if my liver can handle that kind of waiting. So
it can. You're fine. You were a rock band. Got it. You practiced. You're from Wisconsin. Fuck it.
But either or, I have seen a lot of chatter out there about people not giving two shits about Trump or the Republican Party. If Trump don't do good on this deal, you're going to have a lot of pissed off patriots. Well, but one thing the patriots also understand is they know the advantage that the big players can take advantage of the people during any sort of conflict. So war will be there, but it will be very short-lived and very small, sporadic amongst a few individuals. I don't see a full-on civil war.
No. As a matter of fact, there was a contractor that blew the whistle and was discussing. This was 2013. I think it was 2013 when he wrote the report. I think it was 2017 when it came out after Trump was elected into the mainstream. And it was a full-blown breakdown of how the government would just lose if they tried to even go after just the patriots in America. And it was this thing where...
This was what, 2017, you said?
This was, it was started in like 2013. Under Obama, because they were worried about militia, and that was when the FBI was discussing, who do we put on the what the hell did they call it? The domestic terrorist watch list, right? So yeah, they were talking about all sorts of shit. And the CIA came out, this contractor anyway came out and said, "Hey, I'm putting this out there, and I'm going to write a whole report. I wish I would have saved it." But he was even discussing geographical oddities within America, where it's not just surrounded by coast, but it's surrounded by mountains, 2 different mountain ranges, almost impassable. And this breadbasket in between of hardcore assholes who don't give a shit. And the coast, yeah, you could probably get them, but we have mountains. It's like, and I think even in there, it said America was just blessed by God. You have to get it from north or south. And that, I think, started, a lot of the things that Obama was doing regarding stuff you see right now. You better set Chinese or UN troops at the northern border. We could talk about Assange, where Assange, is
and
supposed
didn't you
to be...
see that Mexico just offered him asylum?
That's what I was going to say. So Mexico is offering him asylum, right? So either it's a bartering chip for Mexico if Trump, does get elected, or it's a bartering chip to, either or. I mean, that's a great play. Way to go, Mexico. I mean, to be honest with you, like that's like awesome chess right there. Like, I know America needs, well, at least Trump needs Assange to go through the Seth Rich, all the WikiLeaks documents he's even mentioned before he was elected, all of those things. He needs that guy because WikiLeaks was compromised very much so by the CIA. But now all of a sudden the CIA is no longer funded, and then he makes bail. And you have people from Mexico like saying, "Hey, we'll bail him out and offer him some stuff down here."
Yeah, wasn't the the Brits over there, they said we're not going to extradite him to the USA either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is didn't Mexico say, or didn't Trump say that, you know, we're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the price was?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be dollars or pesos, you know, it doesn't have to be Canadian dollars. It doesn't have to be gold.
With the kind of information that guy has, I mean, that's invaluable.
Oh, absolutely. And the funny thing is when you have people in the intelligence community actually saying, you know, don't worry about WikiLeaks when you have the source. Again, Isaac Cappy, Dead Man Switch. You know, things that I do now, including
where the hell
this.
did Cappy get that shit from?
Cappy used to room with Seth Green. You know, the actor Seth Green. And Seth Green was part of the whole Adult Swim thing, Family Guy thing, all of that stuff. And he just ended up getting in there, and he was from kind of rich parents. And I think he just got sick of the whole thing. Saw a bunch of gross shit.
He had buddies though that reached out to him and was like, "Here."
No, actually, he created. I remember at the beginning of the whole Q movement in 2017. I was actually watching him do his thing, and it was really funny to see, because I was like, "Holy crap! Could this guy actually be serious with what he's talking about?" Because he's making like flagrant claims. And every time he would be like, well, if you want to sue me, cool. Discovery. Like, well, I'll enter all of this evidence into Discovery. I have it. There's a Dead Man Switch. He'd talk about it every single time. He never got shut down off of freaking Facebook. Lynn Wood says he got his stuff from Cappy too. I think Lynn Wood was part of the Dead Man Switch, because at 42, the guy jumps off a bridge in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, what the fuck? No. So I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but what I do want to say is that, like, the stuff that the guy had talked about, the things that he had seen, you know, firsthand, and yes, they're hearsay. I mean, we obviously have no evidence of it, but he's sitting there going like, I have evidence of it. And when I die and it's weird and things happen, it's going to go to somebody else. And then they're going to decide when this comes out, but I'm willing to risk my life. And the guy was successful. I mean, he put, I think he was platinum on one of his songs. And that's why he started the YouTube channel. So you and I have both been in the music industry, entertainment business, and saw how degenerate most of those assholes are. Long plastic hallway full of rapists and thieves, and then there's the bad part.
Murders, rapists, and thieves.
And then there's the bad part.
And there's also a bad side.
Yeah, and I think Trump knew what he was getting into. I think the plan at the beginning, I mean, shit. Worst case scenario, Trump's bad dude, right? And we've all been foiled into just relaxing on our haunches for 4 years. What the fuck would that have done? You know?
No. Everybody. I mean, everybody has been watching this daytime drama, and we know who the key players are. And
I think you just said it best. Is daytime drama. The people who are used to daytime drama. Like, we're used to normal.
I mean, where the people are in their understanding of I guess people like us, in their understanding of government, their the individual roles and powers that these particular members of everybody from their local government up till, you know, obviously the president, what they're capable of, and what they're allowed to do. And that was the one thing. Trump never did what he could have done, even now. I mean, even with the lockdowns and everything else, he never did a federal lockdown. It was up to it. So it was a constant. It was an.
He still obvious, can at this point be king.
Oh yeah, it was an obvious and constant reminder of who was keeping you down, of who was holding you back.
Right.
And we've had that.
But it still has. I guess it still has been.
And yeah, definitely. And I guess to kind of end the conversation, because I don't want to make it go too long, but quick prediction: what happens tomorrow? What do you think?
Pence absolutely lets people contest. It drags out for a little bit. By a little bit, I mean, again, I started by saying Pence is the judge, the plaintiffs are the Republicans, and the defendants are the Democrats. Um, you're going to see a lot of things come into discovery. I think that's the most important thing, is a lot of things come into discovery. And that has been one of the things that has been just, in my opinion, bolstered throughout all of the freedom movement, throughout, whether it's Q or whether it's the Mueller report, whether it's lawsuits now regarding election integrity or anything else. There is always a parliamentary procedure in everything. We're all getting a civics lesson. And I think that lesson is this person gets to judge, whether it's 12 people regarding a jury, or whether it's an indictment utilizing 8 to 12 people, 14, sometimes, 20, or whether it's, an actual setup. And we don't have to get into jurisdictions tonight. We'll do that later. But we're watching a civics lesson pan out. And my honest opinion, Pence said he'd let it go, and he'd let that go, but he did not say whether or not he would agree with them and count that. So all he said was, I will let them speak their piece. He didn't say, I will judge accordingly. And take that as you will. Now we're still 50-50 on what happens. Let's just say Trump loads DC with a ton of people, and all of a sudden on the 6th, tomorrow, you have a ton of people there, and Pence all of a sudden says, yep, these guys were so organized, and I have all the information that all of that's gone. We're going to, the next piece, either X, Y, or Z, because there are a couple of different pathways. I think that's what the people are there for. That would be my prediction, is the people are there for the sole fact that when the Constitution needs to stand, the people have to stand behind the Constitution. And that's what it was built for. Originally, yes, it's tainted now. I don't want to get into that. But I think it's a show of force on both sides. Mm-hmm. Is what this is. The 6th is about a show of force. It has nothing to do with the war. It is strictly just a moral, fortitude. It's morale for the troops. It's something that's going to happen in order to make sure that no matter what happens, the news can't fuck with it. In my honest opinion, that's what it's about. Is that the news can't fuck with it.
I would have to agree with you 100%. It can go either or right now. I would, in my better opinion, I would assume that it would probably just, they're going to kick the can down the road, which is hard for everybody, including myself, because I'm tired of this shit. But more so than that what they're actually going to release tomorrow is something that they need to bypass the media, and also kind of show the other side, the opposition, that look at all the people on our side.
Yes. Show of force.
Don't fuck with this, man. Don't fuck with this, because you don't want to unleash that beast. And maybe they do to a point, but the problem is you've got the military. You've got the military on the Patriot side of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're shit out of luck. I'm sorry, but if you're going to try to overtake anything by force, you are shit out of luck, because the military is not backing the other side right now.
Well, if you want to see a bloodless coup, that's been happening for 40 plus years. Mm-hmm. That was the bloodless coup. Everybody knew that you could not take down America from the outside. You had to take it down from within. Mm-hmm. And then that's been going on slowly over time. You don't think that a civilization that has been actually recording their own history for 5,000 years is not patient? Mm-hmm. They are the most patient, and they will take their time, and they will create all the necessary ways of going about things. And one of the things that I noticed when Trump would discuss the currency wars, because obviously we were big into crypto at the time. When he was discussing currency wars, he was discussing what they were doing to their currency. Who the hell devalues their currency in order to win at that game? People who don't care about their own people. Mm-hmm. So if we get to this point where we end up like that, to me, that's the dark side. Just everybody in our population, cannon fodder. Screw females. Let's just, socially engineer this entire populace to be males so we can put them in the military. Yeah. Or we could do these other things. We have billions of people. We want males, put them in the military. And we're going to social engineer that for thousands of years. We're going to bind women's feet. We're going to do these things, right? It's a rough go of it. But to be honest with you, this is a battle of light and dark. Whether I believe that Trump is light or dark doesn't matter. But I understand the war. I understand the battlefield, and I understand my enemy. And in my opinion, that's all that matters, because if I understand myself and I understand the enemy, I can witness 100,000 battles and I don't have to worry. If I understand neither, I will lose every time. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important thing I would say to everybody, is that know yourself, know your enemy, and then understand who's fighting your enemy. Yeah. And that's the most important thing for me with any
keep your chin up, Trump. Stay positive right now. Yep. I mean, this is going to be some. You thought everybody's like, oh God, I'm glad 2020 was over. I'm like, you want to see some shit? Nope. You want to see some real shit?
You just got warmed up. You just got warmed up.
That was just it. Where everybody's like, I just hate that attitude, where it's like, oh, it's a new year and everything's going to be different. Wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Hey, no. just because you had to buy a new calendar doesn't mean shit changes. No. Shit is still the same. No matter what you spent, it could be $4, it could be $40 on that new calendar.
And the social and economical chaos that we're going to have is going to trump 2020.
Speaking of which,
in such a major way that you're going to have to hold on, man. This is going to be intense.
I'm sorry. I have to urinate so bad.
Well, just let's end this one, because we're probably hitting that 40-minute mark anyways.
We don't have to worry about it between the two of us because we're free.
Oh, sweet. Well, I was gonna go have a smoke anyways.
Cool. Let's do that. I'll pause. So we're back. Funny thing is, as we ended our last little conversation before we took a break, I got a very interesting text message. So for the last little bit, there's been discussions about the coronavirus vaccine and where everything is actually originating from. And I didn't know this, which is one of the reasons why I love the guys I work with. They're amazing. They're very intellectual. It's awesome what they do. And according to this, horseshoe crab blood has been utilized for various different medical processes, mostly vaccines and everything else, especially with this new vaccine. And I've been they've been telling me about how it's just decimating a population of horseshoe crabs. And obviously the FDA is not going to say synthetic horseshoe crab blood is any good, because it obviously decimates their, bottom line. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a very interesting text in this. And it's one of the most depressing things for me, because these people are very intelligent, but they are also being led astray. In my opinion, they're just being led astray. And this says, and I'm not going to say any names, but it says, can't they develop something that is derived from the brain stems of Trump supporters? I mean, there's a lot of them, and they all rely on their overlord to tell them what to think. So what would they be losing? So I retort, I don't think that would be a problem and then I say his name. I just had to redact it. I'm sorry. Um, we just have to become a totalitarian state run by the likes of Stalin, Mao, and any other bastard that is ruled with an iron fist. Remember, America is the first country that has flipped the power pyramid on its head. It's just been lost as of late. And I think that's the one thing that most people in this country need to remember is their history, is that no matter what the hell we do, no matter where you think we need to go, no matter how fast you think we need to go there, your rights as a human are not trumped by somebody else's feelings, no matter what. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you believe that the Constitution is a piece of shit because the people who wrote it own slaves. I don't care. I really don't. And the reason why I don't care is because it was the first time where a government was actually put in check. And again, I will have this debate later with anybody who wants to debate me on it. I could do that. But it was the first evolution. Whether that evolution was ill-founded or anything else, I will absolutely debate that. But my honest opinion is that, you know, between the Magna Carta and the Constitution, which is separated by 400 years, we saw a change in societal governance, and we saw an evolution in societal governance, and we saw this idea blossom that is true individualistic freedom. And I think that it's a damn shame to have people that are of the intellect that these people are mention things like that without understanding. They know their history. They're just too caught up in the moment. And that's the one thing that I think the powers that be would love to have us all be. Like you said, in any time there's war, there's some sort of ability to gain leverage or
because the you know, there's such a conflict of interest amongst the people that you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want.
Right.
And that's really what happens. That's why, you know, we get away with, you know, causing conflict in other countries. That's the reason we cause conflict in other countries, is because, you know, we are working directly with, you know, their power figureheads to get what we want, or get what they want, not what we want, but what, you know, the powers that be are doing. So, I mean, that's why there's been constant conflict pretty much our entire lives. And, you know, and that's really what, you know, I think what really depresses me the most is to see the comments from the extremists on both sides, because they're just falling in line. You know, I don't care if you're right or left. If you live on the extreme right or the extreme left, you know, the mentality of these people is just like, what? No, you're blindly believing in something at this point.
Well, you know? or you're blindly led.
Or
and that's the most important. You're being led, and I said it before. We're not and should never be led by anybody but ourselves. You know, our beliefs, our hunches. If you want to go ahead and put your, you know, information authority in the hands of a giant corporation, please don't try and debate me about how you hate corporations. You know, just don't do it. It's not a good idea. And that's for your own, you know, self-interest in mind. I'm not giving anybody a warning. I'm just saying, like, that's a fucking terrible idea. Obviously, you lack the ability to think logically at that point, right? And the same goes, you know, for me. There's a lot of things I question authority constantly. How can I possibly be spiritual at that point? You're right. And that's an inner battle that I have to deal with. You know, it's something I have to deal with all the time. But the one thing I will not do is, I guess, bow down and bend the knee to somebody who says, well, if we only give up this as far as a right, we'll be more secure. or if you just do this, this will be better. No, because anytime, any person in recorded history, which could be wrong and could be right, I don't know, but all I know is I know the numbers. Democide is the most violent and freaking it is the cause of the majority of deaths in all human history is democide, death by government. And you can argue malaria, sure, you can argue all of those things, but the numbers don't even come close to adding up. And the one thing that holds true in that trend is the lack of rights and the destruction of rights along the path. That trend is always there. It doesn't matter if it's, the Nazis taking away guns. It doesn't matter if it's, Chairman Mao saying, nobody can come out after dark. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just always the same. And we're seeing it now. Yeah, it's being played a little differently at this point in time because they're utilizing Hegelian dialectic. If you come out after dark, then obviously the coronavirus will get you. So we should keep you in. And if you don't wear the mask, we hope other citizens that are ill-informed will attack you on the street and make sure that you know that next time you should comply. They don't even have to get their own people to do it. They're going to utilize your people. And that's fucked up. I mean, that's something that has boggled my mind for the last year. And I think I'm done with it. So come at me, bro.
Well,
fuck you. Fuck you. Come at me, bro.
I saw a good a meme come out recently,
right.
And it was like it had excuse me, it had like Schumer and Pelosi and Brennan and what the heck's that Humpty Dumpty looking guy? Can't remember his name now. You know who I'm talking about? Glasses. It looks like
Mitch?
Humpty Dumpty.
Mitch McConnell.
Not Mitch. It's not a rhino. It's a straight up damn. Oh, it's part of that crazy crew. Nadler. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, you mean the pedophile?
Yeah. So they had
that guy.
Pictures of them, like in their respected positions of power at their respected, respected offices. And then it showed them below, and it was obviously superimposed, but they just had like their bodies and like naked people posted on their head, with the faces posted on them. So it was like basically it's like these are the real people behind who are making the decisions. This is why they need other people to fight for them. Because if you, when you pull it down to like, brass tacks, when it all comes down to it, let's go to nature. If these people could not influence other people and they were trying to push their ideals upon them, they would be completely wiped out if it came down to a natural one-on-one, let's duke it out kind of thing.
But would they?
Would they try to push their ideals on people?
No, but would they be wiped out?
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Physically? Like, if I'm not in very good shape, but if you put me up against Nancy Pelosi, I guarantee you I could punch her dentures right out of her head.
I'll smack a bitch. Hey, you know what? I ain't ever hit a woman, but I'll smack the shit out of a bitch. No. Look, I don't think it's going that far. And the reason why is because, again, I say, if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you never have to fear 100 battles. It's not going to happen. This is something that's not going to happen. I feel it in my bones. There is going to be no civil war. a lot of things have happened, and we were going to discuss this on one of the last casts that probably got thrown away because we most likely started drinking too much and got angry about shit. But if you look into various things, even Space Force, like, why would an outgoing president discuss the, you know, what should be considered the best way to go forward on any celestial body outside of the United, not just the United States, but off of Earth? So we're talking the moon and Mars, and not just our solar system, but it includes all of the universe. Like, we should have all of these rights no matter what celestial body we're on. Obviously, there's going to be contractual caveats, right? So if I sign up to the Space Force and I'm going to be a guardian, obviously I'm going to be lacking some rights when it comes to getting shot in the head for not doing my thing and killing an alien or whatever. But why would you write that? You're an outgoing president. That the incoming president or President-elect Biden is going to come in and just reverse everything you're doing. Why would you do it? Why would you do these things? Why would you make execution by firing squad legal?
Yeah, why would you?
Why would you do it?
Herein lies the problem. I mean, that's like all these. You should say little things. They're not little things. They're actually very big deals.
Corporal punishment was very widely contested throughout the 90s and early 2000s.
And like, why would you go about doing this?
And you brought it back in the most profane way.
Yeah, so why bring it back? Why even push towards that if you didn't, unless you were trying to mislead people?
Or you knew that you were going to be there to do the things that you were going to do. Which means put some fuckers into firing squad. Like, you and I could be staring down the barrel of a Trump fucking firing squad at some point in time.
Also, you got to look at the whole like Trump situation.
Uh-huh.
That his reputation is going to be destroyed.
It already has
by the powers that be. Yeah, I mean, and there's a good chance that people will, try to kill the guy, considering what he knows.
That's already happened.
So
I would, yeah.
So, I mean, why even A, do it in the first place, and B, push it this far if you don't plan on winning?
Well, not only that, but you better fucking plan on winning, because you are going to be wiped from history. And this is one dude that does not A, lose, and B, does not get wiped from history. This is a guy that ego is the most important thing to him.
Yeah.
Not money, not power, not telling people what to do. Ego. Legend. Hold on one second for me. Mm-hmm. She was with me, darling. I had one of the dogs with me. She was hanging out. Now it's dinner time. But yeah, this is a guy that in my holy shit,
Rona,
fucking family ties over here.
Rona hitting it hard. It's that new strain that we have out in Colorado.
I better take
strain.
Yeah, I better take 2 weeks off work. I've been talking to you on this thing. I should probably not work as hard as I do. Take it off. But no, why would a man like this, in my opinion, I've been trying to dissect since this guy got elected. Why the fuck would you do it? You're a billionaire. You can just go golfing all the time.
Yeah. Go hang out with your supermodel wife and your new kid and just
what the hell does that guy like? What's his next step? What's his next step?
I mean, it was already, everybody, in the entertainment and everybody in the business world, they all adored the guy.
Well, I wouldn't say adored, but they were
but everybody that's kicking his ass now, they wanted to fucking, rub elbows with this guy
They would
their entire
not.
life.
They would not kick him out of the party. That's for
No.
sure. No.
And so to see that turnaround, and you know, you got, I mean, Trump's not that kind of an idiot to not know this, that you are going to just be persecuted for doing what you're going to do.
Now, do I
Because
think
the
he's
thing is
martyr
his,
worthy? No, not
no,
martyr
but
worthy.
his attitude towards, you know, the state of things in the country, and I mean both, you know, on a social and economic level, have his standpoint has been the same pretty much
Mhm.
since the late 80s, early 90s, man. He's just been
Right.
like, this is ridiculous. And he's doing exactly the same thing that he came out and talked about 30 years ago.
Mhm.
So,
And that's the one thing. That's the one thing that I absolutely. If this guy, you know, because that's all we can do right now is speculate, right? You and I, anyway. A lot of people are like, yeah, Biden, sweet. Or, yeah, Trump, it's going to be the best. You and I have done this for fucking ever. This idea that none of them are worthy. None are worthy, because the idea of ruling over another human being is morally reprehensible. Right? No matter how many votes you get, I don't care if 338.999 million and I'm the last guy, it's still morally reprehensible for all of them to tell me what to do.
yeah.
That's fucked, you know? And again, that's the idea of societal governance that I talk about, where we had that next evolutionary step. And I'm wondering what the next one is. What's that next evolutionary step? But this guy, so far as policies are concerned, not his tweets, not his jargon, not where he goes and he talks a bunch of bullshit, I don't care. But his policies, what he's done, his actions, where he's met with crisis and he deregulates in order to fix the problem, that's interesting, because it's something that's outside the norm. You know, it's something that is outside the trend. And I will absolutely agree that that is something that I can legitimately say, well, yeah, you would solve all of our problems by getting rid of the entire fucking government, other than the two things that you're supposed to do, you know, according to the Constitution, which is diplomacy and protect our property rights. That's it. That's your job, you motherfucker. That's it. But we're in a messy situation that we've been, you know, put into by decades of neglect by our own population, whether it be wars or anything else. We've just been, you know, having to sit by the wayside and eat, you know, oh my God, there's a TV dinner. Oh, holy shit, we landed on the moon. Oh my God, we did these things, and okay, we'll just, you know, handle our business as per usual. And people, I'm actually surprised at the amount of people who have slowly gotten this idea that, well, maybe $14 minimum wage doesn't work in California, but it would definitely work in South Carolina. You know, they're like, well, oh yeah, maybe each state is different, you know, maybe. And they're starting to ask these questions. And that's one of the reasons why I'm such an optimist, especially throughout 2020. Is that people are starting to ask questions. When I started this second part, I was talking about, you know, or reiterating what somebody had been talking to me about. And they're very smart individuals. They're just led astray. And it's okay. You know, they're led astray to me. To them, maybe they would love to have a totalitarian state. I don't know. But all I know is that humans want to be free. The human spirit will not fall by the wayside. It will not do it. I think that there are 7 iterations of what we've gone through, and this is the 7th. And every single time, the powers that be fail. Every single time. It's biblical. Every single time. No matter what writings you go through, they always fail because the human spirit will provide. And I think, in my opinion, we're going to do it again. And it doesn't have anything to do with Trump. It doesn't have anything to do with the Democrats. It doesn't have anything to do with America. It doesn't have anything to do with the world. It doesn't have anything to do with energies from space. We are gifted this body and this spirit, and to be paired as one. And I don't think a lot of things happen in the solar system this way. And it's very interesting to be in it and learn. And I think that it's a voluntary process from what I've been able to, and I don't think that rule of thumb of it being a voluntary process to even come here, to be born, to all of a sudden then be slaughtered, or to be born in Africa and then be slaughtered. I think there's lessons there. I think there's something, that was designed that way. I think we are designed in a way that is different from everything else, and it's important. And we should take heed to that fact that when you're done here, you're going to volunteer to come back, because no matter how fucked up this place may be, it's so fucking cool to be able to learn what's going on and to be able to be part of this, that you actually want to be part of a totalitarian state just to learn a lesson. How fucking terrible is that? How fucking terrible is that, where you're sitting there in what we would call quote unquote heaven, and then go, you know what? I want to be that guy in front of the tank.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I'm in,
I'm kind of bored up here in this perfect utopia. Send me back down there,
I'm going to get run over by a tank.
100 years.
Yeah. I want to get hit by rubber bullets in a, most likely a protest that I believe in at the point, but I definitely wouldn't believe in by the time I got back up here, when I got shot with a rubber bullet in the head and accidentally killed me, or the eyeball, pop my fucking eyeball out of my head. Like, why would you come down for that? You knew what was going to happen. And you like legit volunteer to just erase your memory and go down there, get
your ass kicked for 80 years. Like, no matter what
it's so bad you have to have your skull smashed by a vagina.
Yeah.
Just to get here.
What I don't understand.
This place is fucking amazing, and that's why I'm so optimistic about it. There's a reason why people keep coming back. This is the greatest show on earth.
Well, legitimately. And that's we can get in all sorts of theoretical conversations about that, about whether or not you want to come back here or go to someplace else.
Well, if I could see the other places before I go, most likely. I mean, look what we have going on.
I think I think it's just a bunch of we're older beings up there, and we're like, you know what I want to do? I want to be a kid again and see some nice titties.
You may not be wrong. You may not be wrong there. You may be like, holy shit, Earth is so young. Like,
Earth chicks, they got the greatest bodies, I tell you.
You ever had sex?
Sex with an Earth chick?
That's what they're no, not even an Earth chick. They're just sitting there going like, you ever been there and used a penis?
Yeah. That is wonderful.
I wonder if it's like getting a massage.
And maybe this would maybe go back to the whole beer thing. The world's largest export being beer.
Oh fuck! Let's not get into that.
But let's just use that theoretically for a second. It's like, oh yeah, they got the best. They got the best beer. They got the best drink. They got the best food. They got the best chicks. I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm biased because I've never been off the planet,
and Earth girls are easy, like they say.
Any aliens that are willing to take me on a fucking tour of their home planet, more than willing. Don't tell my wife. I'll just say, hey, I got to go on a vacation for a minute.
It's off Earth. This is crazy.
No, she'd probably come with me, and she'd be like, oh yeah, let me
Yeah. I'll bang some space hookers with you.
Are you kidding? We don't have kids yet. I'm in. No, I mean, who knows? But I'm at least I'm open minded enough to fucking think about this shit. There's a lot of people that are just so fucking can't see the forest from the trees, and
dude, it blows me away. It blows me away that people. And this is what we've talked about in the past. This is the year. Finally, I bet people have gotten to the point where they finally are expecting the unexpected, and they're accepting the unacceptable in their previous
I would say
life.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is something that you and I have been open about all this shit since we've met 20 years ago.
Dude, I was married for 10 years, and the questions I'm getting from my wife, well, not married for 10 years. I've been with her for 10 years. We've been married for a bit. But we've been living together since 3 months, we were together for 3 months and we were living together. And I'll say this, that I have had the most amazing conversations as of late. Didn't matter if it was before or after the holidays, but all throughout 2020, I don't think I've ever had the conversations where, most conversations that you have with people, whether it's on social media or anything else, even in person, they're going to jam their beliefs down your throat. And it doesn't matter if you're dating them or anything else, you're going to be back and forth. This is the year where I've seen, like, not somebody come to me, but us come together, So I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's strange energies from space. It could be freaking anything. I don't give a damn. All I know is that what's happening is cool. And I will continue to look at it that way. And if any asshole out there wants to sit there and go, well, my grandmother died from COVID, cool. Let's have that debate too. I will absolutely talk to you personally. Call me up, DM me on Twitter. I'll give you my phone number. But I'm sick of the bullshit. I am definitely sick of, all of these. I actually, the thing I am most sick of, and would love to get rid of in 2021 is this idea that, that I owe you anything. My beliefs are my beliefs.
Yeah. I don't even know your explanation.
I don't know you shit.
Your shit out. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I believe what I believe in. You can kiss my ass, and that's the beauty of this country. Freedom for all, not some. Yeah. I don't care if I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
As long as you aren't hurting anybody, and shit. Even if you are, if it's in accordance to the law, which according to the law, you can't really be hurting anybody. Now, if I'm hurting you because of what I'm telling you, because you can't handle the truth, now, I'm sorry, but I'm not violating your rights. You're just a pussy.
Nope. So here's the deal. I mean, and that's the beauty. We talked about it earlier, discovery, right? So if I get the argument like I have multiple times throughout last year, Eric, you don't wear a mask. What would you do if you got me sick? I don't know. What would you do? Because I didn't get me sick. Can you prove it? What are you doing? There are laws in place for this. It's called a lawsuit. If I harm you in any given way, whether it's common law, admiralty law, if you want to put a fucking, civil suit together, and I harmed a whole bunch of people and you track me down and everything works out in your favor, I'm willing to take that risk. But that's the difference between me and you, is I'm okay with my responsibility and I'm okay with my choice, and you are ill-informed, because otherwise you wouldn't make that choice. And if we disagree, we disagree. But understand that the law is there to be the law, the actual law, not statutes, acts, mandates, bullshit. But I am there in this form to act accordingly as I see fit. If I harm you, I am very sorry. And me personally, I will make, amends, and I will do what I need to do, and I will show up in court, and I will do all of those things because I didn't mean to hurt you, and I will absolutely make it right. Whatever I have to do, because I'm that kind of person. And I understand that there's a lot of assholes out there, but I think everybody should understand that stop watching the fucking news. Not everybody is going to shoot up an apartment complex twice a day. Not we. Almost all of us are really good people. I would say 95% of us are really good fucking people. Everybody I've met, I've never met anybody that was like, I'm going to go shoot up this apartment complex. And whether they said it or not, you could tell from somebody, So I think we're all just scared and acting out of fear.
Scared of the really unknown.
Depressed. Yeah. So do your fucking research. So do your research.
On that note, I probably should let you go. I got to start getting shit ready.
Same dog. Dinner's been ready.